Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're having a great day. Today we are going to be reading the story Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in our textbook. You can find this on page 106 in your textbook, and it is purple and looks like this. Once again, we're reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Okay, this is a shortened version of a chapter book written by Roald Dahl. Okay, and we are going to just read like the story, and it's an overview of the main points. Okay, as we're reading, pay attention to the characters, the setting. Does the setting change throughout the story? Pay attention to the problems in the story, because there's more than one problem, and then the solutions to the problems. Okay, all right. Once again, we are reading on page 106. As I'm reading, follow along in your textbook with your finger so that you hear the words and you see the words on your page. Okay? All right, we're going to go on and get started. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Charlie Bucket was a poor boy whose family could barely afford to buy food. He was very fond of chocolate, but received just one chocolate bar every year on his birthday. He lived at a stone's throw from a chocolate factory owned by Willy Wonka, the famous chocolate maker. However, Wonka had closed off his factory to the world for the past 10 years. No workers had either entered or left the building. The chocolates and sweets came out through a special trapdoor on the wall. They were packed, addressed, and then picked up regularly by trucks of the post office. A newspaper announcement from Wonka revealed that he will open his factory for a private tour, though only 5 children will be allowed to enter. The 5 children were to be admitted if they had the invitation called golden tickets. These golden tickets were hidden inside Wonka chocolate bars, and no one knew which bars contained the tickets. These chocolate bars could be found in any shop in any part of the world. As an added incentive, the children who find golden tickets would receive a lifetime supply of chocolates and candies after their tour was complete. Charlie had little hope of finding a golden ticket because he only received one chocolate bar every year. People started buying Wonka chocolate bars in the hopes of finding the golden tickets. In the days following Wonka's big announcement, Charlie read a series of newspaper articles that introduced the children who had found the golden tickets. The first ticket was won by Augustus Gloop, an obese or fat boy with a chronic overeating problem. The second ticket was won by Veruca Salt, a spoiled, angry girl. Charlie still had hope of finding a golden ticket until he opened his special birthday chocolate bar, but found nothing but chocolate inside. Violet Beauregard won the third ticket. She was a rude girl who chewed gum on a constant basis. Mike Teavee, a child obsessed with watching television, won the fourth ticket. So our 4 people are Augustus Gloop, the obese boy, Veruca Salt, the angry girl, Violet Beauregard, who chewed on gum, and Mike Teavee, who was obsessed with watching television. Okay, so we have 4 people. One day, while returning from school, Charlie found a 50-penny bill on the sidewalk and used it to purchase 2 chocolate bars. To his surprise, the second bar contained the fifth and final golden ticket, which stated that the children may bring 1 or 2 members of their family to look after them as they toured the factory. Charlie's family members were overjoyed by the news. The next morning, Charlie and his Grandpa Joe went to Wonka's chocolate factory and were welcomed inside along with the other 4 ticket holders. Wonka led his guests to an underground portion of the factory called the Chocolate Room. The room was specially designed to look like an outdoor landscape complete with trees, flowers, and a waterfall. But Wonka had made the entire scene out of candy and chocolate. Charlie and the other children came across some doll-sized human beings in the chocolate room, and Wonka explained that they are Oompa Loompas, whom he saved from the dangerous country of Loompaland. So Oompa Loompas come from Loompaland. The Oompa Loompas agreed to work for Wonka and live in his factory in exchange for a safe home and an endless supply of cacao beans, which was their favorite food. Cacao beans are used to make chocolate. Okay? As Wonka was speaking, Augustus Gloop, the fat boy, started to drink from the chocolate river despite not being told not to do so. "Be careful, Augustus," shouted Mr. Gloop. "You're leaning too far out." Just then, he fell into the river, where the current pulled him through a series of glass pipes. Augustus was visible, shooting inside the glass pipes like a torpedo. Wonka assured everyone that Augustus will not be harmed by the experience, and an Oompa Loompa would lead Mr. and Mrs. Gloop to the fudge room, where their son would return safely. The tour proceeded without the Gloop family. The guests boarded a yacht made of pink candy and sailed down the chocolate river. Everyone disembarked at the inventing room. Wonka showed the children several of his new candy creations, such as the everlasting gobstoppers, hair toffee, etc. Against Wonka's advice, Violet Beauregard grabbed a piece of experimental gum and chewed it. "Fabulous!" shouted Violet. "It's tomato soup! It's hot and creamy and delicious. I can feel it running down my throat," she said. All of a sudden, Violet turned blue and swelled up until she resembled a giant blueberry. Wonka ordered some Oompa Loompas to roll Violet to the juicing room, where she would be squeezed until she returned to her normal size. The Beauregards followed the Oompa Loompas to the juicing room as the other guests continued the tour. Now there's only 3 people left, okay? At the nut room, the guests came across 100 squirrels at work shelling walnuts. Veruca Salt demanded that her parents buy her a trained squirrel. "Very well, Wonka," Veruca's father said, taking out a wallet full of money. "How much do you want for one of these squirrels? Name your price." When Wonka refused to sell any squirrels, Veruca rushed forward to grab one. Instead, the squirrels grabbed Veruca, tapped her head to determine whether she was a bad nut, and threw her down the garbage chute. The squirrels also pushed Mr. and Mrs. Salt down the garbage chute. The tour continued without the Salt family. Now we're down to 2. The remaining guests rode a glass elevator to the television chocolate room. Mike Teavee disobeyed Wonka and sent himself through a television machine that vaporizes and reassembles large objects. As a result, Mike was transformed into a 1-inch tall version of himself. Wonka sent the TV family to a place where Mike could be stretched back to his original size. Charlie and Grandpa Joe were now the only remaining guests left with Wonka. Charlie, Grandpa Joe, and Wonka stepped into the great glass elevator and flew out of the factory by crashing through the roof. The elevator flew over the factory's entrance, where Charlie sees the other children leaving. They were all unharmed, but the obese Augustus Gloop had been squeezed until he was very thin. Violet Beauregarde had purple skin. Veruca Salt and her parents were covered in garbage. And Mike Teavee had been stretched until he was shockingly tall. As the glass elevator flew over Charlie's town, Wonka said that he was very pleased with Charlie's behavior. He said he wanted to give the factory to Charlie, who will be expected to run the business when he would reach adulthood. He also said that he would teach Charlie his sweet-making secrets. Wonka said that Charlie must bring his entire family to live at the chocolate factory. At Charlie's house, Wonka ushered the whole family into the glass elevator, and they flew towards their new home. Okay, that is all for our story today. Don't forget to complete your comprehension questions. All right, have a wonderful day.